Hey there, I'm Mr. Terry. I'm a history teacher. Welcome back to another History Teacher Reacts video. All right, today we're coming back to a channel that is a great up-and-coming channel called Things I Care About. They do oversimplified, funny history videos, and they're starting to really come into their own. And I'm extra excited to check this video out because I was asked to voice some lines in this video. This video is called Lawrence of Arabia and the Great Arab Revolt. So I got to record some lines for Lawrence, and I haven't seen the video yet, so I'm really excited to check this out. All right, this original video is going to be linked down below. Please support it. Give it a view, like the video, and sub to their channel. All right, let's get started. You know, the whole Arab Revolt and British intervention with Lawrence of Arabia is a topic that I think needs to be talked about more. It's really fascinating. And it ends in a way, too, that describes a lot of the animosity and distrust that has come from the Arab world, especially amongst the West, if you know how it goes down. So we'll see what's going on. The only part about this video I know is from the lines that I viewed, so I don't know exactly as far as start and finish and the overall impact of this, what we're going to see here, but let's go.
Welcome to World War I. War in Europe was in a stalemate, so the British tried to open up a new front in the Middle East to beat up the Ottomans. The British were not the type to put all their eggs in one basket, so they came up with a bunch of different strategies.
By the way, seeing a new art style a little bit. It's a little less of the kind of oversimplified, kind of getting their own. I like that. I like that. I love it when channels, you know, you draw your inspiration from something and then you go into your own thing. All right, you use that to help spawn your creativity. So that's fantastic.
Massive force to land in Turkey, but the Ottoman army, led by their commander Mustafa Kemal, defeated them in a brutal campaign at Gallipoli.
Okay, so this is really important. Mustafa Kemal, you're going to know him as Ataturk. He's going to be the founder of modern Turkey after the war here. But I need to tell you about Gallipoli.
Sent a massive force to land in Turkey.
So the idea here was this. So this is World War I, right? And Russia is cut off, who's an ally of the British, is cut off. And there's no access at this time between the Mediterranean and into the Black Sea there. And the attempt at Gallipoli was to open up the strait, open up the Dardanelles, so there could be access to and from kind of Russia and into the Black Sea there. Now, the problem is the Ottoman Empire is here, right? Who's an ally of Germany, who they're both fighting in this war. So Gallipoli, which was also helped organized by a young Winston Churchill, by the way, had ordered this. And actually the troops here, a lot of them were Anzac forces. They were from from Australia and New Zealand, as the British used their empire and to recruit soldiers here. But it was a disaster,
but the Ottoman
massive
army,
disaster,
led by their commander Mustafa Kemal, defeated them in a brutal campaign.
Leading to Churchill having to resign, by the way, from
Mustafa
head of the Navy.
Famous and would play a pivotal role in the creation of the modern state of Turkey.
I didn't want to talk over.
You may say he was the father of the Turks.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's try again. The British now began a campaign into the Sinai Peninsula, but progress was really slow. Let's try again.
Fighting in the desert's awful.
Since the British...
Now, here's some other context you want to know here. Okay, Arabia, okay, Arabs are not Turks, right? And the Ottoman Empire are Turks. They're run by Turks. The Arabs have wanted their independence from the Ottoman Turks for a long time. So this area right here is controlled by the Ottomans, but local Arab tribes are not necessarily supportive of the Ottomans. And you're going to find out that they're going to work with the British in hopes that someday they can get their independence.
Sinai Peninsula, but progress was really slow. Let's try again.
Start working with the Arabs.
India, they sent an army into Mesopotamia, but got stuck at the city of Kut and would later be forced to surrender. The British were running out of eggs. Ah, what a lovely day to dream of an independent Arabia, free of the Ottomans. For the crime of conspiring against our great empire, these nationalists are hereby
sentenced. Get wrecked, nerds.
Death. What a bunch of losers. I know, and did you hear the news? The bosses are going to strip the sheriff of his title and put someone else in charge. Yeah, I bet they will hang him too. Oh no!
Is this Sharif Hussein ibn Ali, the leader of the Hashemites?
Yes, who is this?
I am the great Sir Henry McMahon, British High Commander in Egypt.
Drawn of history. This is Mr. Betts. I think he was involved in this too. Drawn of History, one of the most incredible, absolutely incredible animated history channels out there. Super nice guy. I've been lucky enough for him to have me voice on his videos too. So I love the collaborations happening here. I love being part of it. So fun.
I have caught wind of your predicament. Allow me to present a proposition.
Great voice actor,
to
too.
furnish you with weapons, gold, and ammunition, provided you rally your Arab tribesmen in revolt against the Ottoman forces.
He's way better than me,
but
too.
only if you pinky promise to support a full independent Arab nation that includes the Hejaz, Syria, and Iraq.
Certainly.
Now, it's something important here to know. Let me get back to the map there. Hejaz, this area, is very, very culturally important. If you don't know, the two holiest cities of Islam are there, Mecca and Medina. So this is a very important cultural region that Arabs very much culturally identify with, right? So there you go.
Syria.
And there's a lot of Arabs in Syria and, of course, Iraq.
Certainly.
10th, 1916.
Oh, yeah. So then there's the promise.
You
Yep.
son of a bee. I'm in. On June 10th, 1916.
Will the British keep their promise? That's going to be the big thing.
As the call for prayer ended in Mecca, Sharif Hussein picked up his rifle, walked out of the house, and fired a single shot. His followers sprung up from the shadows and attacked the unsuspecting Ottoman garrison, who fled to the nearby fortress.
That's the Aqaba, if you don't know. It's the holiest site in all of Islam. It's in Mecca there. It's a monument to God. The story behind it says that it was Abraham that built it. Also installed in it is the black stone, which is a stone that's said to have come from paradise or heaven. Okay, so part of the Hajj or pilgrimage to Mecca is to go visit there. It's one of the most visited sites in the entire planet.
From the shadows and attacked the unsuspecting Ottoman garrison, who fled to the nearby fortress of Jiyad, where they resisted until reinforcements and a cannon arrived from Egypt. My Arab brothers, too long we have endured the yoke of Ottoman oppression, but no more. Join me and we shall reconquer Jerusalem and Damascus like in the great days of Salah ad-Din. I'm a bit busy today. Could we start tomorrow? I promised my mom I would unclog the toilet. I wish I could, but I have this thing. Nah, I just don't want to. I guess I'm available.
You know what? Okay, I think there's there's going to be a punchline.
Our conquest begins today.
I wanted to do this. My senior thesis in college, so my capstone research project was on Pan-Arabism, and specifically it was the failure of the Pan-Arab movement to respond to the Balfour Declaration. So it was really my thesis title of it was the Balfour Declaration and the Pan-Arab response. And one of the things that it is going to show here was that the term Arab is a very large term. And a lot of people will think of them all the same, like Egyptians and Syrians, and again, the people in Saudi Arabia, Syria, all that stuff. And it's actually way more divisive inside of that umbrella than it is. There's a lot of different tribes. There's a lot of different groups all kind of vying for their own kind of position there. And their inability to work together on this was in part a failure. It's going to be, a failure. It was a failure against the Ottomans, and then against the British, and then also against Israel. So, yes, the working together thing didn't work very well because there's a lot more history and division amongst those groups than people think. They are not a monolith.
No broad revolt happened. Although many fighters did join the Sharif, the majority of our...
Did it freeze on me?
I'm available. Great! Our conquest begins today! No broad revolt happened.
It was just paused.
Although many fighters did join the Sharif, the majority of Arabs remained loyal to the Turks. The rebels took Mecca but failed to seize Medina. With Allied assistance, they soon took the coastal cities of Taif, Yambu, and Rabigh. The British sent a handful of officers to assist the revolting Arabs.
There he is.
Among them was a man named T.E. Lawrence. That is T.E., not E.T., very different guy. Lawrence was an archaeologist and an expert in the Arabic culture. He joined the ranks of one of Hussein's sons, the Emir Faisal bin Hussein, who he believed had great potential. The Arabs were courageous fighters, but were not willing to fight along modern standards.
Well, you're gonna see Okay, I'm pretty sure this is my lines are coming up. Yeah, their warfare. That they were not used to a lot of those modern tactics. So, trying to fight a traditional war with these Arabs along your side is not going to work. You'd have to have a much bigger British contingent. So they're going to have to, and under Lawrence, have to devise their plans a little bit different because toe-to-toe standard 20th century warfare is not going to work. But there are other ways that you can take action. And yeah, I'm sure you'll see that in this video. All right,
willing to fight along modern standards.
Stupid savages. They refuse to get into trenches. They don't perform drills or march in formation. They barely know how to use a machine gun and quickly retreat when facing aircraft or heavy artillery. How are we supposed to beat the Ottomans like this?
You just don't understand them. They have their own ways and traditions, very different from our own. They've never seen modern warfare and are much more used to guerrilla, hit and run fighting.
What will you suggest we do then?
We play to their strengths. We do not engage the enemy in battle directly, but we go after their supply lines, their railroads, their bridges, and any straggling group of soldiers. This desert will be their Vietnam. I thought that was a great
Vietnam?
line. I don't know. I don't know why I said that.
You're a weird bird, Lawrence.
That was funny. I know I didn't emote. You know what the biggest thing I found out about voice acting is you do not come off clearly as like emotive and like, you know what I mean? Like you don't come off clearly as emotive or loud and passionate as you think you do. You think you do when you're saving it or you're saying it the first time, but like when it comes to plays back, you sound a lot more tame, and it's something I'm trying to work on there. But it was supposed to be Lawrence was a guy like that. He was a more calm. He's very proper, and I thought I wanted to kind of do it that way. So anyway, there should be some more later, but yeah, that was fun.
British advisors began a massive attack on the Hejaz Railway, a crucial supply line for the Ottoman Empire. They mined the railway, blowing the tracks to bits and forcing the Ottomans to repair huge portions of it.
So this is where you're going to find the military action that can be useful with this in working with the Arabs is the sabotage techniques. So again, don't go after them in battle line formations. That's not going to work. But this kind of stuff, sabotage is great. The Ottomans very much depend on their railways for everything.
They ended up getting really good at this. Perhaps it was due to the assistance from British officers, or due to the creativity of the Arab rebels, or maybe because they were playing today's sponsor. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made.
Let me get to his coupon code so you guys can get to it. So great he got a sponsor in this. That's awesome. Let me get to the coupon code for you guys so you can support it. War Thunder's been real good at supporting people lately, so I love that. Link in the description. Okay, so let's pause.
Breathtaking experience that is War Thunder. You can play War Thunder now using my link in the video description or pinned comment to sign up. Okay. If you make a new account or haven't played in 6 months, you will also receive a massive bonus pack with lots of goodies to give you a head start in the game. You will receive 3 premium vehicles, as well as a 50% experience and income booster, 2 advanced vehicles for rent, 100,000 silver lions, and 7 days of premium account time, among other things. The offer is available for a limited time only, so don't forget to claim it now. So, the Arab rebels were getting really good at destroying the Ottoman railway. Knowing that straight segments of rail could be easily repaired, they targeted curves where they knew additional work would be required. The Allies developed mines that bent the metal into tulip shapes, doubling the required repair time. The attacks then extended into anything that would hinder the Ottomans' war efforts. They went after rail stations, water towers, and bridges. But they didn't just blow the bridges up. Oh no, my dear viewer. The Ottomans would just build another one, and that would be too easy. They damaged them just enough so that they would become unusable. The Turks were then forced to demolish it themselves before they could rebuild it.
Oh, make it longer. Yeah, if you just straight up, make it unusable, but have to use a lot of work to do it. That's really smart. So the whole idea here, as you can tell, is it's like the Ottomans have to make a choice here. I mean, they're dealing with these civil problems, But at the same time, they're also trying to fight, Austria-Hungary. They're fighting, they're going to be fighting the Italians. You know what I mean? So not Austria, but they're going to be fighting they're fighting with Russia. They're fighting with the Italians, right? They have these, multiple things, these multiple fronts going on. And then when you're also having to, work in yourself and having to defend yourself against your own subjects, you can see that's going to make this very difficult because you're going to have to allocate resources to be able to stop this stuff. And then that's going to hurt them in the war. And the Ottomans are among the first to go. When you talk about the Central Powers, when they eventually start folding.
During this time, Lawrence was becoming very close to his Arab companions. He became fluent in their language, learned their customs.
He seemed to really have loved
dressed in their traditional
the whole
clothes.
Arab culture and Arabia, all that.
Who at the time had a colonial view of the Arabs, often thinking of them as an inferior race.
Right.
Lawrence learned to value and respect them. Lawrence and Emir Faisal
he was
now
really
set
short
their
too, by
sights
the
on
way.
Aqaba, the last Red Sea port under Ottoman control. But how will we take it? There is a massive, deadly desert between us and Aqaba, and if we go around it, the Ottomans will see us coming a mile away.
Well, then let's cross the deadly desert.
You did hear me call it deadly, right? The rebels prepared to cross the desert with everything they had.
Now, this is difficult, especially for like a Brit, to go through the torturous, scorching desert, right? And Lawrence was pretty good at it. He could handle it, and it's not easy. It's why so few people are going to live in these deserts, right?
Which was about 40 fighters and a bunch of gold to recruit soldiers from local tribes. They endured scorching heat during the day and chilling temperatures at night, facing exhaustion and dehydration.
And Arabia doesn't have rivers.
The Arabs went from well to well.
They have to get
attacking
wells.
the Turkish garrisons, hiring new soldiers, sabotaging the railroad, and creating distractions to confuse the Ottoman from
Totally
their
not
actual
Aqaba.
goal. As they neared Aqaba, the rebels numbered around 500, including Auda Abu Tai, leader of a Bedouin tribe that had joined them during their trip in the desert. By July 2nd, the Arabs surrounded the outnumbered Turkish garrison, encamped at the outpost of Aba Elisan. They
Guerrilla
fired upon the
tactics,
Turkish soldiers
right?
from the hills, but the scorching heat made them ineffective at hitting their enemies. This is taking forever. What kind of plan is this, Lawrence?
It's not the plan's fault. Your men shoot a lot, but hit a little.
Oh yes? Is that what you think? Stupid know-it-all Brit? You wanna see us hit? Huh? Do you? Do you?
I mean, yes, I do.
Okay, that's it. Bedouins, charge!
You heard the man. Charge! I wanted to see.
Somehow, Lawrence accidentally shot his camel in the head and almost got himself killed during the charge.
I was interested to see, because I didn't see the the animations before, how they were going to do that, because I read, I didn't know that Lawrence had done that. He shot his camel. It's like, oh my gosh.
Still, the attack was a massive success. They defeated the Turkish garrison and only lost 2 fighters. And Lawrence's camel. Don't forget about Lawrence's camel. Never forget.
Oh no.
With the garrison crushed, the city of Aqaba fell quickly. This was an incredible achievement for the rebels. An irregular and improvised army had seized a key port city from a regular, well-trained and well-equipped Turkish army that had managed to withstand an attack from the Royal Navy. Thanks to the success, the Allies now had a serious shot at taking Palestine and Syria from the Ottomans. Lawrence rushed to Cairo to tell his superiors about his victory. He claimed to have crossed the desert in just 49 hours, which is impossible. It was not possible for him to have crossed the desert so fast with the means he had available.
I'd wondered about that too, because again, the Sinai is so deadly to cross, like, and for a guy, I mean, he had guides and stuff with him, so it's not like he was by himself, but yeah.
This is an important reminder that although he accomplished great things,
Sure, he lied in his
Lawrence
book.
was very fond of embellishing his accomplishments and sometimes perhaps even lying about some of them.
Yeah. So there's this famous book called The 7 Pillars of Wisdom. It's a lot of stories about from Lawrence and this come about. And yeah, a lot of people wonder if it is, like, fabricated and stuff, and probably.
In 1917, Lawrence and his team bombed a bridge as a particularly long train was crossing it, causing a tremendous crash. Lawrence later found out that the train was carrying women and sick people, and he reportedly never recovered from the guilt. British officers ordered Lawrence to take out the Yarmouk Valley Bridge to separate the Ottomans in Palestine from Syria.
Yarmouk Valley, or Battle Yarmouk, also a very important one in Arab history, another place where they defeated the Ottomans and was a major kind of turning point as far as them eventually kicking out the Byzantine. Did I say Ottoman? Sorry, I meant Byzantine. The Byzantine Empire in the early Islamic year, in the 1st century, where they were conquering into the area around Jerusalem and booted the Byzantines out of there, or the Romans.
This was timed just as the British prepared another offensive, but the mission was considered to be a suicide mission. I'll do it. Did you not hear them call it a suicide mission? What's the worst that could happen? Well, a lot. As the squad approached the bridge, they were.
I voiced that part, but I don't think that was me. Maybe my audio didn't come through very well.
A suicide mission? What's the worst that could happen?
No, I sent it. I think I did.
A lot. As the squad approached the bridge, they were fired upon by a local farmer who mistook them for raiders and alerted the Turkish guard, which forced them to abort the mission. On his way back, Lawrence claims to have traveled to Deraa, where he claims to have been captured and physically and sexually abused. I say claim because modern historians have seriously questioned the veracity of this event, and it remains heavily debated to this day. On October 21st, a large Turkish force attacked the Arab Regular Army outpost at Wadi Musa, but the Arab Regular Army managed to hold their ground and repelled the attack, causing massive casualties. During December, the Allies sieged Jerusalem and took the Holy City after a month of fighting. The Arabs attacked the...
That's a huge thing. You can see how important culturally a lot of these places are when you look at it. Okay, there are other operating centers that the Ottomans use. I mean, Istanbul's, of course, going to be the big one there. But like, you know, now you've got Mecca, Medina, and, well, they'd taken Medina. They failed at first with Medina, but then going to get eventually. But then, and then Jerusalem. So like culturally very, very important places, right? 3 holiest cities there.
Important farming town of Tafila, and once again repelled the Turkish attempts to retake it. With the German Spring Offensive in 1918, the British were forced to focus their resources in Europe and temporarily slow their aggression. But the Arab divisions pressed on. Lawrence and the Emir continued their raids. In May 1918, they destroyed 25 bridges along the course of the railway, and the Imperial Camel Corps took the key station of Murawara. Ottoman forces began to falter, and the Allies prepared to take Damascus. The Arab army advanced to the east of the Jordan River, drawing Ottoman forces towards them. The main Allied army then began its advance to the west of the river, while Lawrence led his unit to blow up key bridges, to prevent the movement of Ottoman reinforcements, and sabotage the railroad to stop any supplies from coming in. As the Ottoman army began to collapse, retreating soldiers entered the village of Tafas and massacred everyone there. Upon hearing this, the Arab army pursued them. And for the first time in the war, Lawrence ordered for there to be no prisoners.
Oh, jeez.
In his book, he claims to have commanded his men to machine gun 250 captured soldiers, although again, the veracity of this event is still debated.
The stuff after, especially, you know, when you start codifying things, war crimes. But so did happen on the other side, right? But it's the famous thing, it's not a war crime the first time.
With more Arabs joining the revolt, and with the Allies fast approaching, the Turks desperately retreated and surrendered en masse. The Allies finally entered the city of Damascus. Phew, it was a tough fight, but we finally did it. It was a pleasure doing business with you. I'm sure that my new country, Britain and France, will get to be best buddies. Yeah, about that...
Not gonna happen.
Yes?
Mandate time.
It is a bit awkward, but we expected you all to get killed in the fighting, so we wouldn't have to get to this. But
the Brits and I kind of signed an agreement years ago and partitioned this entire land for us. While McMahon was promising Hussein that our...
Now you're going to have a level of mistrust that'll never be recovered from. right? With the Arab world and the West there, dying in this process under the idea that they would get their independence. So, the British and the French are going to carve this up. We're going to get Sykes-Picot Agreement. And yeah, British, French are going to divide things up. You're going to have Syria, you're going to have Syria, the French are going to control. You're going to have Palestine controlled by the British. And the whole idea that the British and French were saying is like, they weren't ready for independence yet, that this was going to take a while. So these mandates were, not supposed to be permanent, but they're still going to be there for a long time. It's another instance of imperialism persisting through World War One. Although what you're going to see is the end of these empires that lose the war, right? And self-determination happen in some places, but only early in Europe. So yes, this is going to be problematic, right? So now we're going to pave the way. And really what you're going to see with the Arab world after this is they're going to have to work on their own to try to get their independence, both from the British and then because within this in 1917, you're going to get the Balfour Declaration, which promised in this British mandate a home for the Jewish people. So you're going to see that massive migration start to happen here. Gets a lot more with World War II and the Holocaust. And what you're now going to see is the Arabs not be able to rely on foreign support now. You're going to have to do it on their own. And then you see a lot of those problems, of course, coming through today.
Arabs will become independent. The French and British secretly signed the Sykes-Picot Agreement. They partitioned...
what's the disclaimer say in the bottom?
French and British secretly signed the Sykes-Picot
Disclaimer, McMahon wasn't the one who signed the Sykes-Picot Agreement. He's shown for simplicity.
Agreement. They partitioned Arabia with no consideration for religious or cultural differences.
By the way, those maps, the borders still exist today and are, again, very problematic. I already told you about how the Arab world is not a monolith, and there are groups that historically have not gone along. They have different political, religious differences. I mean, you have Sunnis, you have Shia, but then you have Kurds, you have all these other different cultural groups and things like that. And these borders never represented that. And it's become public today because eventually when those mandates end, those borders will persist with the independence of these countries like Syria, Iraq, and then even with Turkey and stuff like that. And it's going to be problematic. And it's continued today to really harm, the whole geopolitical situation there. So it's a big mess how the Europeans handled this.
And separating long-standing allies.
It was a major reason for today's problem.
This agreement was a major factor in the region's ongoing destabilization. Lawrence had long known about this and chose to lie to his Arab friends. He was, after all, British, and his loyalty lay with his country. To be fair, the Arab
so he's a very complicated
also
figure.
Learned about the agreement years ago, but knew that there was little they could do
Trotsky.
except hope that they could capture enough cities to somehow negotiate a better agreement, which did not work. T.E. Lawrence returned to his homeland and became a legend.
We look alike now.
Lawrence of Arabia. He participated in politics, trying to help his Arab friends, but to no avail. He joined the Air Force and eventually retired to a cottage, tormented by guilt and likely PTSD. He enjoyed high-speed motorbike rides, and one day he crashed while trying to avoid two kids who had gotten in his way. Lawrence passed away from his injuries a few days later at the age of 46. Thank you again to...
Yeah, he's a complicated figure because he was like, it's kind of, debated how much he knew, when he was making these promises, how much authority maybe did he have with it? And then how much did he know too about the British not probably supporting these deals with the Arabs, and think that he's a very complicated figure as he helped them, but then also was he a traitor, to the Arab world? It's been complicated there, depending on your perspective. So,
War Thunder for sponsoring.
All right, yeah, okay, awesome. Final thoughts. All right, so again, this is, like I said at the beginning, an important topic. I think that gets forgotten in the history of World War One, and it also is tantamount into understanding current Middle Eastern problems, because so much of it goes back to here. So, there was an opportunity with the Ottoman Empire collapsing to potentially, settle these differences and these self-determination questions and some of these cultural, religious things going on there. And it ends up being handled very poorly. Okay. And the evidence of that would be how destabilized the region has been over this past 100 years. So hopefully, yeah, this adds a lot of context with it. It's also a big part of World War I. So that's why I'm saying that this is a story that really is important to really understand the present. So, and now back to things I care about. So this was great to see them kind of take this into kind of their own, getting more and more into their own style there. I really like that. And I think that's really cool. I was just starting to see that. Great topics are coming out. Recently I covered the Vietnam one, and that was brilliant. That was a fantastic telling of that. And I'll link that here as the video is ending here. So if you like this, I know you'll like their other stuff too. And if you guys want to see it and things I care about, still supportive and has been awesome in supporting me here. And again, invited me to participate in recording with this. I'm going to keep covering it. You just got to let me know. All right. With that, we'll see you all next time. Bye.